So if you'd like to export a InfraWorks model, there's tons of videos out there already, but we're just going to do it from this one. So this is the project that I'm working on. It's kind of a sliver of Los Angeles. You can see the ports all the way to downtown. But we're working in one little particular intersection here, Avalon and Manchester. So whichever proposal, and I'm talking about the proposals that you make up here, that you want to export to basically Civil 3D, that's where you would go and make sure that that is the correct proposal that's active. Now, if you have the latest Civil 3D, you can just close this and then open up Civil 3D. If you're using, like, this version is 2019 InfraWorks, and I'm using 2019 Civil 3D. However, if you're using a older version of Civil 3D, which definitely happens, there is this Export IMX. So then you can just come here, you draw a little polygon around the area that you want to take, and then you just give it a name and tell it where to save it, confirm the coordinates, the target coordinates that you'd like to be in, and then you can just close InfraWorks. From there, you can go into Civil 3D, and on the Insert ribbon, there is a InfraWorks tab. The first thing I'm going to talk about quickly is just the Configure Coordinates Systems. From here, these are the types of objects that it's going to pull over from InfraWorks. Here's the Civil 3D type object settings. So if you want it to bring in, let's say, the alignments, how do you want them to come in as far as their style that they're going to use? And the styles that show up in here are the styles that are in your drawing. How do you want it labeled for the alignments? And what layer do you want the roads to come on? So this is where you set up all that information here, pipe networks and such. I'm not making any changes, but you can save it out if you want to, if you do make changes. Otherwise, just go to Open InfraWorks. If you are using a older version, like 18, anywhere between 2016 to 18, this button does exist. And then you can just come up here and you would browse to where that IMX file. Just don't forget to change the bottom to IMX. Because I'm in 2019, I'm just going to use the SQLite file. This one, they make it a little difficult to find on your desktop. Basically, it's in your local users. Under Documents, there's Autodesk InfraWorks Models, Autodesk 360, and then basically I just sort them by date, so I know when the last one I modified, because these are all the InfraWorks models. They don't keep the names in them. And then I'm just going to click on this one. So basically it scans your model and it confirms your coordinate system and your coordinate system here. This, you probably should make sure your coordinate system works. There is an option here to use this to match coordinates to here or to set the coordinates in Civil 3D. But over the years, this has been a little bit of a glitch. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. I'm not sure if 2019 that it does. I just make sure to always set mine before. You never want to take the extents of it unless you have a really small model. Try to bring in 200 square kilometers of a surface and alignments, and you're going to be sitting here for the next 24 hours. So I'm going to say area of interest, and I'm going to select area. It automatically turns on Bing Maps for me, and then I know my areas here where my little points are that I created a little earlier. So I'm just going to zoom out a little, and I'll take a little chunk of my model. But when I guess I should have said that line that it drew, that it showed like the rectangle, that's the extent of my model that I could take in. So it'll automatically zoom you out to everything that's viewable in your drawing, and it will show you the extents of the InfraWorks model. And then it usually takes... Alright, so I already fast forward through the area, making you sit for at least 3 to 4 minutes of watching that. So once it's scanned through, this is that object selection list that we pretty much did through here. So if you had predefined lists, you can basically make your own list. These are the ones that just come out of the box. But basically this is... I believe you can go in here and edit the same box too as well. So, and right here you can do refine selection set, so you can see exactly what it went through to scan. When it says AIW existing ground, that means it's going to pull the USGS information. The existing transportation is basically the road style that it applied to the roads. This proposed ground is usually created when you do the design roads, so that one will come in. Here's all the planning roads that's coming in. If it's a grayed out area, then that has nothing that it's going to do. I mean, it's not going to bring anything. There's nothing there for it to bring in. So you can go through here and check things on and off of what you want and don't want. But otherwise, you just hit OK, and then you hit Open Model, and then basically it starts importing the process of doing this. So here's what it imported. So what it basically gives you is you have your alignments. So that's all this red here is for the alignments that we brought in. Sometimes they're in pieces and you need to clean things up. I'm going to have to clean up the ones to make my intersection because I need them to cross. Let's see up here. Yeah, it looks like they're in separate segments. So I'm going to have to clean those up. This right here, these little square ones, this to me is that road surface. So if I go to the prospector here and go to road, the existing transportation one, this one's pretty much useless as far as I'm concerned, so I usually just delete it. Or you can turn it off if you don't want to delete it, because you can always go back later. If the files are too big or a large surface, Civil 3D is going to offshoot them to a MMS file, and you have to just keep that file in the same folder, and Civil 3D will handle that automatically. But I'm just going to turn off all these surfaces, so that way I can start prepping it for the next phase, which is basically going to start creating my intersection. The newer InfraWorks 2019 should bring in the corridors itself. I'm not sure why mine's not bringing in those corridors, but